Well, I only see it as a threat if people define their skills very narrowly and very low level, because I do think AI will take over all the lower level tasks. It'll design a much better icon than at least 99% of human graphic designers can do, possibly actually 100% once we get to super intelligence. So all of these design elements, or lay out a screen, or even kind of compose parts of a workflow, or do interviews with users around the world in 50 different languages and observe user testing, and a lot of these sort of specific activities that was definition of being uh, in user experience in the past are no longer what the humans will be doing. The activities will still remain. I'm a firm believer that we need to do user testing even with AI, and the users have to be the customers, again, the people, the humans. So we need to do the research, but we don't necessarily have to have a human researcher sit next with the user and take notes. AI can take notes for you and so forth. So AI will do all these low-level tasks, but to me, that is not a threat. It's an opportunity. It's an opportunity to up-level, become more strategic. And I also believe that there will be vastly more jobs in the field in the future than there are now, exactly because the productivity goes up. So this is more an economics argument, but um, usability and design have in the past been actually very expensive, and they are mostly to be equated to bespoke, custom-made tailored suits. You know, like you have a tailor and they measure your arm and they measure everything, and then they go and make a suit exactly for you. And that's what like the King of England, King Charles, does. And he always looks great in his snazzy suits, but it's super expensive. And a normal person cannot afford to have a suit made by these best tailors in London that way, handmade suit. But we can certainly have, you know, machine-made clothes, and most people have too much clothes in their closet that they ever have time to wear because it has become cheaper, so you buy more. And it's the same with design. Handmade, handcrafted design, like we used to have been doing for decades, is very expensive. Therefore, it's rarely done well. Very few companies actually follow the entire user-centered design lifecycle the way I have recommended it and been teaching it for 40 years now, since I was a university professor back in the old days. We know the recommended steps, but they're too expensive. So only very rich big companies can afford to do all the steps. Some companies make some shortcuts and they do some of the steps, and that's absolutely better than nothing. That's what I've always said. Something is better than nothing in usability. Even so, still too expensive. Once we get it to be cheap, once the productivity of our people is 10 times higher, and that's maybe a 10-year horizon, or maybe let's say 100 times higher, which is more of a 50-year horizon. So that's maybe the next generation of people. But for the current generation of people, it's very realistic to expect that you can crank out 10 times more in 10 years than you can do now. This does not mean that we lay off 90% of the people and 10% of the people can do the work as the old team. No, it means that 10 times more will be done. Or actually, I think 30, 40, 50% times, 50 times more will be done because it's so much cheaper. There's endless need for better design in the world. There's very few things where I would say, this is the perfect design, cannot be any better. No, that doesn't exist. It can get better and better and better if only we could afford to pour all that labor into. It's very labor intensive right now. Once it becomes less labor intensive, productivity goes up, price goes down, more will be done. Therefore, more jobs, because each job or each position opened creates so much more value for the company. And that's again good old-fashioned business thinking, return on investment or cost benefit, whatever you want to call it. So I think there'll be more jobs. There'll be more interesting active careers, because it's not necessarily that interesting to select the exact color scheme for a website or something like that. But figuring out how to solve customers' needs and how to solve business needs and how to promote the business, put those two together, that has always been the job of UX, is bridging customer needs and business interests so we can both can benefit. That I think is very exciting, and that will be more so the role or the job of UX people in the future.